Hi, about a year ago I told you about 6 products from The Ordinary that I disliked, and at the time I told you that I would be doing a follow-up post featuring the products from the brand that I actually liked. That post did not show up till date for various reasons. For starters, there was the drama surrounding The Ordinary, a lot of it, and then, a lot of products from The Ordinary broke me out eventually. I didn't expect, at first they worked for me and then they started breaking me out. And then my skin was in a appalling condition. I had urticaria, which almost became chronic, and I had allergic reactions to various things. Right now, we more or less identify the culprit as wheat. So I didn't really do another post on The Ordinary because most of the products, about 4 or 5 were working well for me. The others weren't working. They were breaking me out. Now, today I'm going to talk about another brand versus The Ordinary. I'm going to talk about actives. Now, we've seen a lot of brands recently that are very affordable, that are ingredient-driven for skincare, that is, rather than, claim-driven. You used to have these random anti-aging cream, youth cream, and that sort of thing, or youth serum, or rejuvenating serum, age reversal serum, that sort of thing. That was, claim-driven. Now, with The Ordinary being the trendsetter, obviously, we've got, affordable, ingredient-driven skincare. You have various brands: Garden of Wisdom, Good Molecules by Beautylish, Beauty Pie, Elixir, Makeup Revolution has their own. And finally, you also have the INKEY list. Now, these brands are mostly straightforward. There's no faffing about with general magic powders and magic serums and magic youth creams. They're, mostly single ingredient driven. At most, you have 2 ingredients, not more than, there are more ingredients, obviously preservatives and things like that, and emulsifiers and things like that. But, the active ingredient, there's not more than 1 or 2 at the most. And these are all affordable, obviously, and they've given rise to, a generation of skin intellectuals who look at the science behind an ingredient, behind an active, see how it works, and then choose their skincare, rather than, people who spend tons and tons of money on the youth magic elixir that is advertised in glossy magazines. So in this post, I'm going to compare and contrast some products, 10 actually, from the INKEY list versus The Ordinary. And why am I restricting this to 10? Because if we did every single product from The Ordinary and every single product from the INKEY list, we'd be here all week. Particularly, The Ordinary has a large number of products. I bought pretty much everything until about late last year, and then I just stopped buying them because there were too many of them that were breaking me out. So I'm going to talk about the products from The Ordinary that worked for me, products from the INKEY list that worked for me, some products that didn't work from either brand, and also, products that I use on a daily basis, and, actives really. So I'm going to restrict this to actives and some other, essentials in my routine. The INKEY list was founded by Mark Curry and Colette Newberry. Both were part of Boots' product development team. The INKEY list comes in plastic packaging, generally like this. Off late, I have seen pump packaging from them. Again, plastic, but, pumps, much better. Unfortunately, in transit, if you're ordering online, whether it's Cult Beauty or Feel Unique or wherever, this sort of thing always arrives spilled. There is a lot of spillage, a lot of leakage. I don't have that problem with The Ordinary. The packaging is generally in glass bottles. So my dad loves these. He takes all the empties for his garden. Don't ask me why. I think it's something to do with medicine at the roots of orchids or something like that. Anyway, much better packaging, no spillage. There has been 1 incident of breakage in transit with The Ordinary, and that was about a year and a half ago or so. Apart from that, I haven't had any breakage or leakage. So packaging-wise, my preference would be for The Ordinary, obviously, because I don't like plastic. I prefer glass bottles, much better for the environment. I suppose, the INKEY list wants to keep the costs even lower by opting for plastic. In addition to the very clean packaging, no frills and fancies, it's all black and white, nothing else. I also noticed that they don't have a, we're against this sort of product stand that some of these brands have. Some are against cleansers, some are against acids and so on. They don't really have an anti-stand. They have everything from a cleanser to various acids to various actives to clay masks to sunscreen, a lot of products. And they listen to the customers, and product development takes place. Somebody recently asked for a salicylic acid based product on their Instagram, I think it was, and so they came out with a beta hydroxy acid product. Another thing that I love is that all explanations are given on the packaging. There is a they are more, translators themselves. They regard themselves as the beauty translator. They explain what the ingredient does. Now, on the packaging, you will find why this ingredient, what it does, and how to use it. That last one, very important. This is where The Ordinary didn't really, they didn't tell you how to use what at first. And then, I think Beautylish and Victoria Heath had a routine sheetlet that went out with the products, which was very useful. But at first, there was a bit of floundering there. In this case, they send you the information on the packaging itself. Now, the vast majority of the INKEY list products are below £10. The starting is, I think, about £4.99 or so. They started with a range of 15 products. Now they have more than 20, and the products keep on coming. Now, in this post, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to compare The Ordinary products with the INKEY list. I'm not going to talk about every single product ever by either brand, otherwise we'll be here all week. They've got enough products. I'm going to talk about the active products and, my favorites really. So this one will cover whatever I like from The Ordinary. So let's start with cleanser. Unfortunately, The Ordinary doesn't have a cleanser until very recently, and that cleanser contains ingredients that are, on my acne sort of red alert list, and therefore I will be avoiding that cleanser. The INKEY list, on the other hand, has the Salicylic acid cleanser. I've already bought a backup. This launched earlier this year, I think about January or so, and it is marvelous. 150 mils, £9.99, I think. And it is very, very, of all the cleansers that I've tried, and I've tried quite a few in my time, believe me, this one comes the closest to the Good Morning Low pH cleanser from Cosrx. So if you like the Cosrx Good Morning Low pH cleanser, this from a mainstream Western brand comes closest. They're practically the same. The texture, the feel, everything, the results, and it helps with acne. So, no equivalent for this in The Ordinary. The next product, however, has an equivalent. This is the 7% Glycolic toning solution from The Ordinary, and the equivalent is Glycolic acid toner from the INKEY list. This is 100 mils, this is 240 mils. So this is my second or third bottle of this stuff from The Ordinary. This one's new, obviously. I haven't opened it yet. Now, comparison. I actually prefer The Ordinary's Glycolic to the INKEY list. See, I told you I would be including the products from The Ordinary that I actually liked, and this is the first product from The Ordinary that I loved. It is a stronger version of Pixie's Glow Tonic. Strong, definitely stronger. This one is milder, but it is somewhere in between Pixie's Glow Tonic and this one. I didn't like the feel of it. I don't know, I don't want to say oily feel to it, but there was something off about it, really. The other thing is, while there was no fragrance as such, the smell was a bit off-putting for me. It smelled a bit off, a bit strong, acidic strong, and I didn't like that. This one, I couldn't smell anything, so not quite P50 there, but the smell was definitely not lovely. This one had no particular fragrance that I could, sense. So my preference is, and obviously this being stronger, my skin is used to strong acids, this one is definitely the better. If you are on tretinoin, I wouldn't recommend either of these. I would recommend the Pixie Glow Tonic. If you are not on prescription tretinoin, 0.05% or above, then you can definitely go in for either of these. This one is stronger, and you get better results the following morning with this one. So after that, we come to salicylic acid. After glycolic, let's do salicylic. You have the 2% salicylic solution from The Ordinary. As you can see, I've used up so much. And this is the beta hydroxy acid from the INKEY list. This is a lot runnier. This is very viscous. Of these two, I definitely prefer the INKEY. That is because this one is way too strong. It gave me chemical burns on my skin, and I'm not the only person. I mean, I've read a number of articles on various newspapers, even tabloids rather, claiming that people who use this have had chemical burns and were taken to the hospital. Now, in my case, in 2017, in my review of the Look Fantastic Advent Calendar for 2017, if you look carefully, you'll notice that there is a huge patch here, or was it here? I think it was this side. Yeah, on this side of my face. So I tried to hide it in that post, and it hasn't really worked. And I've also tried to cover it with makeup. You can see that post in the description box below, as well as here. So if you do look at that post, you'll see a chemical burn on this side. I didn't understand what it was. I thought it was tissue necrosis or something, and I had some kind of massive deadly disease or flesh-eating bacteria or something. And finally, my dermatologist told me that this thing was way too strong. You only need the barest of bare drops on a fingertip, and then about 1/10 of that on the spot itself, on the cystic acne itself. That's all you need. So the barest of bare drops on your fingertip, and then 1/10 of that on your skin, on your face. So that's all you need. This one is a lot milder than this, but it is effective. It does the job properly. It is a great sport treatment as well. So obviously I prefer the INKEY beta hydroxy acid to the ordinary 2% salicylic acid solution. Now, before we move on to Lactic, there's one more AHA product from the INKEY that I want to talk about. This is the alpha hydroxy serum. There is no equivalent for this in the ordinaries range yet. Alpha Rage has a liquid gold serum. This is very close to that, a very affordable version of Alpha Rage's liquid gold serum, not the liquid gold, overnight treatment. That one's much stronger. This is a lightweight serum, and it works a treat. Like it very much. There is no equivalent for this in the ordinaries range. However, there is an equivalent for the ordinaries, lactic acid. This is the 10% lactic acid. I have no idea what the percentage of the INKEY lactic acid. It's slow runnier, so I'm presuming it's lighter. The ordinary also has a 5% lactic acid. That did absolutely nothing for me. The 10% was a bit stronger, although I still prefer Glycolic to lactic. A lot of people have said this one is very similar to Sunday Riley's Good Genes, not the new reformulated Glycolic centric version of Good Genes, the lactic acid version of Good Genes. I disagree. I think the original Good Genes was nicer and was possibly the best lactic acid that I've used. This one not as nice, 10% lactic from the ordinary. And the INKEY isn't a good dupe for Sunday Riley's Good Genes either. It's a runnier, lightweight lactic acid that is a great daily toner. That's all that I'll say. Of these two, which do I prefer? In terms of texture and runniness, I prefer the INKEY by a smidgen, but there's really not much to pick and choose. My preference would be neither. Bring back the old version of Sunday Riley's lactic acid, I would say. Now we come to retinols. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The ordinary's retinols are a massive mess. That's all I'll say. Now I have here the Gran-Active Retinol 2% in squalane, the Gran-Active Retinol 5% in squalane, and the 2% retinol emulsion from the ordinary. I hated all three. This one I didn't hate as much as the other two. It's very mild, did absolutely nothing. The mildest retinol ever. If you have incredibly sensitive skin and have undergone some kind of chemical peel or other trauma or something to your skin and you still want to use a retinol, then alone, I would say go in for the emulsion retinol from the ordinary. The squalane ones were horrible. They were way too greasy, oily. My oily skin hated the texture. They were awful for layering. They just didn't work for me. On the other hand, the INKEY retinol, this is 30 ml of product, a much better retinol. Really nice product. It's not quite, a light serum or anything. It's a thick, viscous kind of, almost an ointment, you would say. And I prefer that. The texture reminds me more of a Retinoid A than, an over-the-counter product, which is something that I liked. And that is why I've repurchased this for non-tretinoin days. It's quite strong actually. I wouldn't recommend that you start with this though if you're very new to retinoids. It is on the stronger side. That said, it's definitely not as strong as prescription retinoid. So if you're used to prescription retinoid and you want to take a break for whatever reason, at the same time you want some retinization, then I would advise the INKEY retinoid. However, if you're very, very new, if you haven't used a retinoid before, and if you suspect that your skin is very sensitive and is going to react badly, then the Ordinary's emulsion, not the squalane, please, unless you're incredibly dry-skinned and love oily formulations. If you love oily formulations and your skin is incredibly dry, then the squalane suspensions are good. I didn't like them at all. So now we come to vitamin C. Now I have here the vitamin C suspension, 23% with HA spheres from the Ordinary. The INKEY List has a vit C serum. Both horrendous, awful. The INKEY List was 30%, and I swear I had it somewhere on this desktop and it's gone, vanished into oblivion right now, without a trace. Very mysterious, eh? So, both were horrendous. Both did not sink in nicely into my skin at all. Both unabsorbent, awful. On the other hand, the Ordinary has 100% L-ascorbic powder, which I really liked. There is no equivalent with the INKEY List, sadly. I do wish there were. This is really good stuff. Genius, actually. I mix it with pretty much, you know, I've mixed it with hyaluronic, I've mixed it with pure ferulic acid, I've mixed it with various products, and it's worked a treat every time, you know, very nice. I highly recommend this. That is if your skin is used to stronger vitamin C's. Now, the Ordinary has a mandelic acid. The INKEY List does not have a mandelic acid. Wish Trend has a mandelic acid. I've done a comparison of those two. I shall link that in the description box below. You can also see it here. I prefer the Wish Trend mandelic acid because the Ordinary is too viscous and oily for my liking. I don't know why most of the Ordinary products are oily in feel, you know, texture. I'm very oily skinned and I prefer watery formulations. This is why I love Korean skincare and Japanese skincare, because a number of products are, you know, lightweight watery products and you can layer them nicely. The oily products, difficult to layer, particularly if you have oily skin. If you have dry, dehydrated skin, I suppose oily formulations are nicer. I don't know. Maybe they should just have options covering both, you know, for oily skin types as well as for dry skin types. So next we come to peptides. The Ordinary had two products. One was Buffet and the other was Matrixil. They also had an argireline solution, which is peptides again, which was for, you know, fine lines. I liked it. It was all right, but it, you know, the results weren't, you know, anything special. Or maybe it's because, you know, I don't need it yet. I don't know. These two I tried for a while. Both broke me out incredibly badly, both Matrixil and Buffet. On the other hand, the INKEY List has a heptapeptide, which hasn't broken me out after about 3 weeks of usage. And this is the packaging. So 3 weeks later, no breakouts so far. That could change. Now, I use this in the mornings, obviously beneath makeup, beneath my primer. And it also makes a very good blurring primer. The texture, I mean, the finish reminds me of Benefit Professional in terms of, you know, blurring the texture and the acne scarring on my face, the harsh ends of my acne scars. It blurs them all nicely and mattifies my face. So makeup is better, goes on better. So I really like this. These two not only did nothing for me, but were also responsible for huge cystic acne. So we come to hyaluronic acid next. This is the Ordinaries, obviously. This is the Hyaluronic 2% with vitamin B5. I hated this again. For whatever reason, it broke me out. Now the INKEY List Hyaluronic acid, again missing in action from my desktop. I swear I kept it here. It did not break me out, but it wasn't, you know, a very plumping hyaluronic acid either. You know, Hada Laba's hyaluronic acid toner, you apply it and your skin looks plump and very fresh. And, you know, there's that very, you know, moisturized, hydrated look and feel to your skin that I don't get with the INKEY List. It doesn't break me out, but it doesn't really help either. On the other hand, the INKEY List has the polyglutamic acid, which the Ordinary does not have. Apparently, PGA holds 4 times more moisture than hyaluronic. Hyaluronic acid is a molecule that holds more than 1,000 times its own weight in water. Apparently, polyglutamic acid does 4 times more than the hyaluronic acid. And this is the polyglutamic acid. I absolutely love it. And this is to be applied right before moisturizer, after your serum. So mine goes on after the Maison Snail Repair X ampoule and before my moisturizer. And it's not greasy at all. It hasn't broken me out at all. It's, kind of like slightly, more or less, slightly thicker than the Hada Labo Premium. I think this would be great to layer over Hada Labo's Premium if your skin is really dehydrated and needs moisture. Incidentally, if you are oily as well, you can definitely use this because moisture never hurt. And the formulation and the texture are not greasy at all. Sinks in very nicely. So the INKEY list has a bunch of other products as well. They have a zinc sunscreen that is SPF 50. The Ordinary has SPFs of various strengths. I didn't love either of those. The Ordinary has an NMF moisturizer. The INKEY list has a turmeric-based moisturizer. My skin cannot tolerate turmeric. Incidentally, I'm allergic to henna as well. I break out in hives. So similarly, turmeric makes me itch. So I didn't buy the turmeric moisturizer at all. The Ordinary's NMF was all right. I didn't love it. I didn't dislike it either. I mean, I was iffy about it. Meh, whatever. So of the 10 products that I've mentioned here, 5 I prefer the INKEY list. In some cases, the Ordinary doesn't have an equivalent. For instance, there is no equivalent for the Salicylic acid cleanser. 3 I hated both, the hyaluronic acid, the lactic acid, and the vitamin C cream. Hated both. I mean, lactic, I don't really hate both lactics or hyaluronics, but I'm meh about both, The one broke me out, obviously, the hyaluronic from the Ordinary. But while the INKEY list hyaluronic did not break me out, I'm still meh about it. It did nothing for me. I feel the plumping wasn't there. No visible results seen. The lactic, I prefer Sunday Riley's original lactic. I still have some left. I don't know what I'm going to do after I run out there. Now, 2 products, I definitely prefer the Ordinary. So those are my thoughts on the Ordinary skincare, the INKEY list skincare comparison of primarily the actives and a few other products, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and so on. I have very oily, acne-prone skin for reference. I'm undergoing laser skin resurfacing once in 6 weeks or so as well. And I'm on prescription retinoid, and I also derma stamp halfway through laser. So that's my skin type and skin schedule in a nutshell. So have you tried the INKEY list or the Ordinary? Which is your favorite product? Which is your least favorite product? What are your thoughts on either brand? Do share all of that in the comments below. I'd love to know. So that's all from me for today. Thank you for watching this video. Please do give me a thumbs up and please do hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell, and I'll speak to you soon.